Today's spooky spot, we'll be having a look at the Diamond Select, Universal Studios, home of the original monsters, Toys R Us exclusive, The Invisible Man. It looks like the Invisible Man comes with a base for him to stand on, which contains some rags as well as a book. And again, this is a Toys R Us exclusive. Down below, pictured is the Invisible Man, right there, right down there. Spots already reviewed, the Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein. And when these came out last year, I thought I would keep them for this year's spooky spots. On the back of the package, beginning in 1923, Universal Pictures began a series of movies later integrated under the Universal Monsters banner that changed film forever. These monsters created some of the most iconic characters in film history. The read-up on Invisible Man says, discovering a formula that produced invisibility in humans, aspiring scientist Dr. Jack Griffin tested it on himself, only to find himself unable to reverse the procedure. Alone, invisible, and angry, Griffin slowly descends into madness and murder. The other characters you can't pick up is the Earth, this island Earth, and also the Phantom of the Opera. To check out certainly more, you can go to Diamond Select Toys at www.diamondselecttoys.com. Also, be on the lookout for Universal Monsters Mini-Mates from Diamond Select Toys as well. I believe I will be taking a terrifying break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we are going to get a better look at the Invisible Man. It's definitely more blood-curdling review to come. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Packaged with the Invisible Man, you get yourself a display base, which looks to be a depiction of the flooring with part of the carpet rug. There's also a book, as well as some rags. Neither the book nor rags are removable, but the detailing is very nice on the display base. Nice paint on not only the hardwood flooring, but also the carpeting as well. A singular peg. There's the underside of the base. A singular peg, which will allow you to peg the Invisible Man via his only peg on the back of his foot there. So you can peg it into place, and you have the Invisible Man on his display base. Kind of makes the Invisible Man, unfortunately, stand on a bit of an angle, but that's fine. It's not too big of a deal. But that shows well. It shows actually really nice having the base as well, as opposed to just having the figure standing on his own. On his own, he certainly stands and looks nice as well, but I like the inclusion of the base. I'm always a sucker for display bases when done right, and I think this display base was done right. Having a look at the Invisible Man, he is in his... Is that a twin breast? What do they call those suits? Double-breasted suits? Where it buttons over to the side? Spot knows so very little about suits and knows so much more about action figures. I can tell you, though, it's a nice-looking figure. Between the coloring and the wrinkles that they've put in the jacket, it's an overall nice piece. As for his face, if you can really call it a face, he is bandaged up, with goggles present as well. You can see there are a few tufts of hair sticking out from his bandages. I would have liked if Diamond Select had produced a secondary head that you can swap out. I like this head, and I like the bandages and everything that they've done. The goggles look really, really nice. But I would have liked an option to remove this head and just put a completely bandaged head on there as well. Just a matter of preference. Of the two, I would have preferred a more completely bandaged head, but I will say this head is still really nicely done. Sculpt and the paint are done very well. The nose on there also. He's got himself a collared shirt. Tie looks very nice. Also got himself a little handkerchief in his pocket, none of which are removable. He's got himself his gloved hands, which you can kind of have some nice gestures going on with the Invisible Man. You can kind of have him reaching out. Do you see me? Yes, you're wearing a suit. His pants are also very nicely sculpted. Essentially a static piece, a staction piece from the waist down. There is no articulation in the feet or anything like that. It's more a displaying piece than something like an articulated figure. Speaking of his articulation, The Invisible Man does have a rotation and bend in his head. It does appear that he has a ball joint, but though, unfortunately, because his head is the size that it is and it sits on a collared shirt, you're not going to get a whole lot of clearance for you to be able to move the head up and down. But the head does certainly move left and right. As for the shoulders are on a hinge and socket, so they will allow the arms to move out and also forward and back. He does have a rotation in the wrists. As well, he has a rotation in the waist, although, because he's got his jacket on, you can't really move the waist all that much. You're pretty much stuck with the pose that he's in. But really, for a suited character, you may not necessarily need to have too much mobility in the legs, the waist, and really essentially this section right here. You can still get a lot of poses in his arms and also in his hands. And I think for a figure that is more of a showpiece, more of a display piece, I think it actually still works. There are certainly other figures available that have articulation, but when you're getting down to just a showpiece, showpieces don't always necessarily need to have articulation. And I would not want to sacrifice detail for an articulated figure, because you can always get articulated figures, but if the sculpt isn't there, the figure as a whole doesn't work. Invisible Man, I think, works because he does have a good solid sculpt in his suit. The paint is all there, and where he needs to have articulation, he has it in his arms. I'm glad he doesn't just have a swivel, that you can still actually move the arms out. And between that and moving the hands, you can still get a really genuine pose out of the Invisible Man. I think the Invisible Man, I'm going to give him a very blood-curdling 7. Today's spooky spot, we were having a look at the Diamond Select Toys, Universal Studios, home of the original monsters, Toys R Us exclusive, Invisible Man. Thanks for watching, as you always do, guys. Certainly stick around. Spot's got more spooktacular reviews heading your way. See you guys next time.